Hello and welcome to Tricks of the History channel. Today is the 9th of March 2018. If you've looked at the title of the video, it's called what's the name we're gonna give this video actually? That's just skipped my memory right now. It's called The Happiest People in the World. And the slogan always is attached to Disney, in that the happiest people or the happiest places in the world always happen to be Disney. So today we're taking a good look at Walt Disney, and as like I've told you guys before, starting with the if you've been on the channel around for some time now, you've watched a couple of videos. I had started saying that from the Clint Eastwood videos, that the videos that we're going to be presenting is going to be very, very shocking. So you guys should fasten your seatbelt and get ready for a ride. If the Vatican allows this channel to be as long or to last as long as we think, at any point in time, the videos are going to be very shocking every week. For now, since we're working so hard on trying to make sure that we get the books across to you in a couple of weeks from now, in this particular month of March. If you haven't yet sent us an email for a book, you still have 2 weeks to do that for the first copies that are going to be coming out soon. We'll be sending emails out to those who did already, because the Vatican is hard at work trying to shut us down. So we put all this information in a book for you so that you can have it for generations to come. And let it be your guide, because like we said before, we stand by what we're delivering to you, because in most cases, you pay a price for something and you don't get what you want. Or let's say you pay a price for something and it's not turning out to be the truth that you were looking for. What we can guarantee on this book that you're going to be having is that it is all the truth, nothing but the truth. So it's not like, you go to a church service, or you go to work into a church or listen to somebody and they take your money and they don't give you anything. With this book, you get nothing but the truth. And that's what we stand by, and we stand by the truth. So if it's your first time on our channel, I'd like to welcome you. But before you get on to watching this particular video, which talks about the happiest places or happiest people in the world, which concerns Walt Disney, I would like for you to pause the video right here and go look for the primer video. When you're done watching the primer video, then you can come back and continue watching this video. So let me show you, if you're a new subscriber, how to get to the primer video. The primer video is going to be the oldest video that you have on this channel. It's called Primer. So before you can continue watching this particular video, we suggest that you watch the primer video. The primer video is like the foundation for understanding what the channel is all about. We don't know how long this channel is going to be, but we suggest, if you're going to get anything out of it, the very first video that you're going to have to watch is the primer video. The primer video has a playlist on the channel, so just go to the channel and look for the playlist called Primer. And it has about, I think, 3 other videos or 2 other videos in it, which is also helpful for you to watch, so you can get the basics right and the foundation for watching any other video, so you don't get lost and have too many questions or unanswered questions. So those are the videos that we recommend that you watch first before you come back and continue watching this video about Walt Disney. So there's a link in the description section of every video that we make. All right, I'm hovering my mouse right over it right there. So if you're a new subscriber, we suggest that you click on this link. This link is, like I said, is attached to every video. There's always this link right here, and this link is going to take you to a document. The document is going to be called Male versus Female Visual Differences. If let's say if all things were natural and normal, because we don't live in a normal world right now. Everything has been turned upside down by the people who are leading us right now, which happens to be the Vatican. The Vatican has been leading the world for quite some time, since the age of when the Roman Empire, the last vestiges of the Roman Empire ended. And those last vestiges of the Roman Empire ended in Germany. Germany was one of the last countries that was a part of the old Roman Empire, and that Roman Empire got done away with totally by the time of the Second World War. So if everything was normal, in a normal world, normal standard sense, normal world in the sense that foods are not foods rather do not contain any poison, because the Vatican The Vatican works on poisoning of food, water, and air, because the only way they can succeed in controlling people is by making them weak. This is the only civilization that takes pride in weakening the people. It's never been happened before in the civilizations before now. We go into a lot of explanation about what civilization we're under in a book. So if you're interested in a book, please send us an email. You have 2 weeks from now to get on that list, so we can at least print you one copy. After 2 weeks, then you might have to wait a while before we can print more copies. So that's just what I want to let you know. So in a normal world, if we had no poison in our food and water, because the poison in the food and water changes the normal female characteristics and normal male characteristics to look like unisex. So you hear that word around being thrown around so much, called unisex. So the male features now looks like the females have it, and the female features looks like the males have it. So for example, let's say men usually talk with a very deep voice, but nowadays females also have that kind of voice, especially females who also take steroids as well have a very deep masculine voice. So you can't tell if you're speaking to a woman or a man on the phone if you just by the voice. So that's a clear example. Another example would be something like, let's say, an Adam's apple. A woman can grow an Adam's apple. It's very, very possible, but that doesn't change the fact that she's still female. So the natural world, without the poisons in the food and water, as is being given to us in every day, this document would show you those male and female characteristics differently. But since that's not the case, this book is going to concentrate on showing you the difference that cannot change by the poisoning of food and water and air, which is the skeletal structure of each and every one of us. So the skeletal structure will never lie. That's why when people die, the sex can be determined by looking at the skeletal structure, because the skeletal structure determines if you're male or female, and not the genitals. All right? So I want you guys to remember that when you're starting this book. So since we're this document rather, since we're neck deep into the transvestigation of somebody whom the kids, I say this with a very deep broken, I wouldn't say broken heart, but it's so sad that the people that we thought that we looked up to are not the people who they claimed. They have lied and deceived us for so long with the help of the Vatican. It's so sad that Walt Disney, in which a lot of children and a lot of people, grown up adults, still go to Walt Disney. I'm not a fan of going to Walt Disney. Not that I just think Disney is for kids, but we have grown adults who take their time out to go to Walt Disney. And to me, that seems like somebody who doesn't want to grow out of the shell of being a child. What am I trying to say? We've been deceived for a very long time. I'm one of those people who enjoyed their childhood. I don't think there is any kid in the world who enjoyed their childhood as much as I did. I enjoyed my childhood so much that, getting to find out that the world that we live in is not what we thought it was, it's beyond gut-wrenching. It's beyond heartbreaking. That's just the way I can put it. Because there were so many people that I grew up on and looked up to, and I'm just getting to find out that they are not the people that they claim. So that means my whole childhood was, what was the best way I could put it? It was a sham. So let's get into the transvestigation. Let's just go through this particular document so we can transvestigate Walt Disney. This is a gut-wrenching show for me to find out that Walt Disney, who gave the world such things as Mickey Mouse and such things as, the animation, because I'm one of those people who grew up on watching animated movies. If you give me an animated movie, I prefer it to watching a real-life movie. That's just the truth. I wish that all movies were animated. and to find out that one of the icons of the industry, who was now, we just getting to find out that this person is a stooge of the Vatican. He wasn't, or she wasn't, who we thought he was. She was just like the face that the Vatican decided to feed on and give us Disney, so that we wouldn't know that it's the Vatican which was always behind Walt Disney. And as usual, the Vatican is behind training the children of the world today so that they can be useful converts to the New World Order. So let's get into this. There's a female, you're looking at a female to my left, and a female has an arch in her back. Now, why does a female have an arch in her back? A female has an arch in her back because her pelvis is tilted forward. The pelvic tilt is the reason why a woman can carry a baby full term. So the baby can stay inside the womb. Without the pelvic tilt, the baby would not be able to stay inside the womb for 9 months and would drop right out of the womb. So that's the reason why a female has a pelvis that's tilted forward. So a female has a C-shaped arch in the back because of that. Now the arch is also an extra support for the weight of carrying children, so that the weight of the baby and the weight of the mother can be distributed across the body evenly without her having any problems walking and tumbling over any such thing. So the female always has a deep C arch in the back. If you draw the arch from below the shoulder blades, it's going to form a deep C arch. If you draw the arch from high up above the shoulder blades, it's going to form an S-shaped arch in the spine. Now, with males, males do not have any arch in their back because males do not give birth. A man has a straight back. If a man's back wants to arch, it's going to arch outwards into the shape of a D or a P. A man doesn't have a tilted pelvis. His pelvis is straight. So that is the difference in the skeletal structure between males and females. So remember, a man's back is always going to be shaped like a D or a P, but a straight back into the pelvis, no arch like you find right here with the female before it gets into the pelvis. Scroll forward into the document just to show you what that arch looks like in a woman. As you can see right here, here's a woman kneeling down, and she has the deep C arch in the back because her pelvis is tilted forward. Now, it doesn't matter if the female has got some size in her. She's a big lady, a small lady, a tall lady, a short lady, whatever body shape she has. A female always has an arch in her back. You're looking at a big female to the left of my screen, and she has an arch in the back and the pelvis is tilted forward. And you're looking to another female to the right of my screen. She has an arch in the back and her pelvis is tilted forward. It doesn't matter if the female's got muscles, because the muscles remember this, the muscles hang on the bone. So everything that a human being has in his body is hinged to the bone. So that's why nothing can change the skeletal structure, because the skeletal structure is like the foundation of a house. If you go tampering with the foundation, the house is going to crumble. So nothing can change the skeletal structure. So whatever changes that you do to your body is only going to change the physiology of the body. It's going to change the muscles of the body. It's going to change the skin and the fat and the water content, but nothing can change the skeletal structure. So here's a muscular female right here who lifts a lot of weights, probably takes some testosterone to get some of these muscles that she has, and she still has an arch in the back. Another female right here, very muscular female, arch in the back. But nothing can change that skeletal structure. There's always going to be an arch in a female's back. So let me play you guys a short clip on where the female location of the hip is at, which is the most important aspects, the most important difference between a man and a woman. Let's go. So you're looking at a woman right here in a normal, regular woman. When I say normal, regular woman, I mean a woman in which her hips are wider than her shoulder, which is how a normal, regular female should be. Now, there are females in which their shoulders can be wider than their hips. That does not make her to be any different than a woman, because a woman's hips, the location for the hips, is always going to be below the crotch, as you see right here. Why is the hips of a female below the crotch? So that it does not interfere with this pubic arch from where a baby comes out from. If it was higher up, it would be in interference with where the baby sits, and the baby would not be able to stay inside the womb. So when people try to confuse you and tell you such things like, that a woman can have hips above her crotch, there's no such thing. The location of the female hip is always going to be below the crotch. I had a person send me an email one time and said that her dead husband, I don't know if the person is an agent or a delusional person. She sent an email saying that her dead husband had very huge hips, and the dead husband's hips were below the crotch. So I asked her, I just told her, okay, just send us the pictures of your dead husband and let's take a look at it to see if it's true that your dead husband was the first man to have hips up below the crotch. And this lady retorted with an email that she never took pictures of her dead husband. And I wonder if that story that she told us was actually true. So that's how delusional people are. Prove what you say and they can't do it. Send us pictures of your dead husband if you really believe that your husband had hips below the crotch like a female does. So getting back to the subject right here is that a woman's hips are always going to be below the crotch. Are there females in which the waist right here can be bigger than the hips? Yes. The location of the hip doesn't change. It's still going to be below the crotch, even though her waist might be bigger than her hips. Are there females in which the shoulders can be wider than the hips? Yes. But the location of the hips is always going to be below the crotch, regardless, because that's what makes you a woman. Okay, so with a regular female, as you can see right here, you start seeing the woman spread from underneath her elbows. If the lady was, putting her hands to her side, her elbows would line up right here with where the hip starts, where her pelvis starts, where the waist of a female starts. Now, let's not talk about that. We'll talk about it some other time. So with a regular female, a female starts spreading from underneath her elbows and she gets wide, and the widest point will always be the hips, which is always going to be below the crotch. Because a woman has a wider pubic arch, she has a very acute Q angle between the hip and the knee. All right, the Q angle is the angle between the hip and the knee. For females, it starts below the crotch, and for males, it starts higher up above the crotch. So let me play this clip so you can see how a woman is being measured at where the location of her hips are. So the tape's going to go around, as you can see right there. And the widest point being measured is the hips, which is below the crotch. This lady is going to turn around so you can see where the location of the hip is at. And as you can see right there, that location is still below the crotch, but it's slightly above the bum line, sorry to say, but below the crotch regardless. If you have problems, because I always say this in every video, if you have problems looking at a person from the front and trying to ascertain if the location of the Q angle is below the crotch or above it, and you seem to have difficulty, try to see if you can find a picture of the person from the back. Because when you look at a person from the back, you would definitely know if you're looking at a male or a female because of how wide the location of the hip is at and the Q angle as well, which gives the females an hourglass figure. So let's continue on from this and get on into Walt Disney. So I want to read something from the greatest book in the world, which by the grace of Yehoshua and his mercies, he decided to let some people, like-minded people, compile the books that he revealed this world and what it's all about to us. So we have something that we could, study if we get confused. But, today the Vatican wants you to believe that the Bible is just a religious book and that it's a book you should not pay so much attention to. When the truth is that all the knowledge that the Vatican has to run this world is gotten from the Bible. They use it in a negative way. So I want to read something, and I want to thank somebody who a very great subscriber of ours who sent us this particular portion of the book. I have never read it before, and she happened to send it to us. Her name is Jessica, and Jessica, I believe that you know who you are. I want to thank you again. So I'm going to be reading from 1 Corinthians. I'm going to be reading from 1 Corinthians chapter number 14. I'm reading from verse number 38, and it says, "And if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant." Now, why am I reading that portion of the Bible today. There are so many ignorant people around, and they think that that being ignorant, that they should make other people as ignorant as them. Now, a channel is only dedicated to people who are looking for the truth. If you're ignorant and you have a problem with what we're doing down here, you don't have to be here. You have a right to be ignorant. It's your life. But don't bring your ignorance down to the channel. So why am I saying this? There's a fellow out there. He's a subscriber. I'm not going to name his name, but he's probably going to know who he is. He's actually he's saying that he's saying so many mean and despicable things in the comment section. I'm just gonna call him out. His name is Mr. Fag. That's his name. He knows who he is. His name is Mr. Mr. and dot and Fag. I don't know why he would bear that kind of name. So he's saying so many despicable things, such that a lot of people dislike me because I am very, very disrespectful. I don't know why I'm even talking about this, but I'm talking about it because I want to pass a message across to the subscribers out there. The reason why I'm saying this is because he's saying that a lot of people dislike me because I'm disrespectful. And there was another person called, I think, on the channel whose name is called The Real Deal. I don't know if it's her or so. She always says that I'm very disrespectful to women. Now, I'm not bothered about what The Real Deal said. I just wanted to use this avenue to talk about something that I think that people out there should understand. Now, what I'm trying to talk about right here is the fact that people are very, very ignorant and very, very afraid. Okay? If you are looking for the truth in this world, what you have to understand is this. You are not going to have very many friends. People are going to dislike you. Being disliked is something that I grew up with. Not because, of anything. I know I am an ugly looking dude, for one, so people could have a problem with that I'm a very ugly looking guy. I have a hideous scar on my face, a crooked eye. I'm very, very hideous looking. So, but that's not the problem. The problem is that since I grew up, I've always gone after the truth. I've always wanted to know the truth about the world that we live in. It was something that fascinated me. It still fascinates me till today, and that's why I've put all that information in a book with the help of the team that's behind me, so you guys can get the real information, the truth about this world. So if you're looking for the truth, what am I trying to say? People are going to dislike you. If you're somebody who loves truth, people are going to dislike you. But does that matter? Do you really have to care about what somebody else thinks about you, or somebody else says about you, or if somebody likes you or not? You really don't have to care. Because at the end of the day, your life is yours to live. Someone disliking you will not live your life for you. Someone having hatred towards you will still not be able to live your life for you. So why should you care about somebody that dislikes you? Secondly, if you're looking for the truth, as the Bible has always said, a lot of people think that they can have truth and have peace. There is no such thing. When you go after the truth, you're never going to have peace. So you have to have made up your mind that since you're not going to have peace and people are not going to be peaceable with you, then you have to make up your mind on how you want to live. Sometimes the truth can get you killed. This is a fact. Now, Christianity, under the guise of the Vatican, actually wants you to believe that you can be liked for loving truth. The whole system of this world is built on lies. So why do you think that if you go after truth that you're going to be liked? You're never going to be liked. Yehoshua, who was God himself on the earth, was not liked. So what makes you think they're going to like you? Nobody is going to like you. So I go through my life knowing, all right, that people are not going to like me. I'm not expecting them to like me. I don't even want them to like me. For me, it's better for people to dislike me than like me. Because the Bible says that when men start talking good about you, then you're in serious, serious trouble. Because the love of this world is not the love of God, is not the love of Yehoshua. So I really don't care about what that fellow thinks about that people, or that I'm dislikable. It doesn't really bother me, because the joy that I get from what I do is that I'm able to open eyes. I'm able to open the minds of people to see the truth. There is nothing as rewarding as truth. So if somebody wants to be ignorant, let the person be ignorant. It's not our problem, and they should take their ignorance somewhere else and just leave us alone on this channel to do what we're doing. So that is what I want to share with you guys. You have no reason to be afraid of anybody. Yehoshua said, "Be not afraid of the person who can only destroy the body." Because no matter what the Vatican does, like the poisons in our food, the poisons in our water, the killing that they kill everybody day and night for any valid reason, only kills the body. They cannot touch that thing that makes you alive. They don't know what it's about. The only person who can reach inside there and touch that thing is the one who made it. And his name is God. His name is Yehoshua. So if you're living in this world and you're going after truth and you're a scared little cat, this is not the channel for you. Do not watch the videos. We do not deal with scared kittens down here. If you're going after the truth, you should be well aware of the consequences and be prepared for it. Because that's the only way it's going to be worthwhile. So with that said, I want to thank somebody before I get into talking about Walt Disney. Mariel is a very good subscriber of ours. She's somewhere in the Netherlands, and she gave a dog a bone on Walt Disney. So I want to thank Mariel for that. I think you know who you are. I'm not going to say your full name, but you know who you are, and I want to thank you for it. So as you're looking at my screen right now, there's a strike on our account because the Vatican is trying to shut us down for telling you such valuable truths you're going to learn today about Walt Disney, whom a lot of kids love. And I pity those poor kids because they don't know, because their whole history has been fabricated as a lie for them. The Vatican put a strike on account because we're telling you the truth. They don't want you to know the truth. And they put a strike on account for the Selena Q video and said that we had nudity on that video. But so you look at the screen right here, you can see that there is no minute mark for the violation in which they say we had nudity and sexual content on that video, which none of our videos do have. Because the Vatican does not want you to know the truth. That's why. There's no such thing. You can see right here, there's no minute mark. Because as usual, if you have a copyright infringement or any infringement of your video, YouTube always gives you the minute mark and the location of the video for where you have that infringement as. But as you can see right here, it doesn't exist. Because the Vatican does not want you to know the truth. They want you to stay brainwashed. So, we've put all this information about your world in case the Vatican shuts us down at any time, which we know it's going to happen. Okay? We know this channel is going to be shut down by the Vatican. We are letting you know that. So, if you're interested in the book, you still have 2 weeks to get the first few copies that are coming out of print. After 2 weeks, you might have to wait a little while longer to get it if you want to order it. So send us an email with the title book, and we'll put you on the email list and print out a copy of the book just because you said so, because you sent us an email. And also, we want to put you on the email list because we're working on our website, which is under construction, which is going to be finished. When it gets finished, we'll let you know. We'll notify you through email and say our website is now on. You can go watch whatever you want to watch. And we also want to notify you of future correspondences, like such things as movies that we're working on. We hopefully we think the movies will be free for download. We won't expect anybody to make any payment for it. But the book is not free, and that's just the way things are for now. Okay? So send us an email if you're interested in the book, and let us just put you on our email list for future correspondence as well, because the Vatican is going to shut us down soon because of what we're doing in letting you guys know the truth. They're going to come up with some excuse and the channel is going to go down. So that's what I want to let you know. So with that said, let's move on. Let's move on and take a good look at Walt Disney. So here is the web page on Walt Disney. You can pause the video at any point in time and go get on your search engine and just type out Walt Disney. Or you can, just copy out this link right here and just go look it up yourself. Now, Walt Disney's page is littered with the Vatican Code of Numbers like crazy. If you want to know what the Vatican Code of Numbers is about and you've never heard it before, go on the channel and look for the playlist called Vatican Code of Numbers. Or you can look for the Lisa Lopes, or if it's pronounced Lisa Lopez video on the channel, and it will talk in full detail about the Vatican Code of Numbers. We also have the full explanation because there's so many things we couldn't say on the video because there's certain things we can't say on the video. That's just the best way I can put it. But with our book, we go into full detail, and we turn out everything from the Vatican Code of Numbers so you can have a clear understanding of what it's all about. With that said, Walt Disney right here is littered with the Vatican Code of Numbers. As you can see, he was born December 5th, 1901, and he died December 15, 1966. Is that a coincidence that somebody was born in December and died in December? That's a very strange coincidence. And he was born, he died on 15th. 5 plus 1, that's 6, in 1966. So we have 666. Is that a coincidence? No, it's not. Because this dude right here wasn't Walt Disney. What do I mean he's not Walt Disney? What I mean is that he's the face behind Walt Disney, but he was not the idea, or she was not the idea, rather, behind Walt Disney. It was all about the Vatican. Because the way the Vatican works, the Vatican doesn't want you to understand that they have bought this world and paid for it in every single thing. They don't want you to know that. Because when you know that, they have a target on their backs. Everybody's going to know that it's them that's causing the trouble. So they create all these false histories and fabrications for you to feed off and make yourself comfortable. It's more like you're trying to catch a rat. All right? You bait the rat, or you bait fish, okay? Until it gets into the trap. So that's what the Vatican is doing right here. They're baiting the world with traps until before they realize it, they're all inside the trap. The New World Order is a trap designed by the devil himself, which runs the Vatican. Now, this leads me to a very interesting topic that I think I should just touch a little bit before I get into Walt Disney. Now, I had somebody leave, this same guy that I was talking about earlier, who said that nobody likes me because of I'm very disrespectful, and he said that I like black supremacy. He talked something about black supremacy. People, I want you to understand something. Albino supremacy, a lot of people call it white, but we know that everybody who says they're white is actually an albino, and we have that information in one of our videos called The Myth of Whiteness, which is a long-winded series that makes you understand that there is no such thing as being white as a racial designation. All right, so when we people don't understand that being black is not a race. Being black is our humanity. So when this fella said such things as black supremacy, that I'm about black supremacy, he is a very misguided fool because he doesn't understand what he's saying. All right? So there's no such thing as black supremacy. It doesn't exist. It's just like you would call air supremacy. There is no such thing as air supremacy because air is air. Being black is our nature. And being albino is just something that happened. That's just the truth. So, and speaking of black supremacy, a lot of there's a movie called Black Panther that came out. I've had friends and family, you know, try to make me go watch Black Panther, but I wasn't really interested, you know, in watching Black Panther. I really don't watch any movies, you know. They were trying to tell me, okay, we should go watch Black Panther sometime. I think it's a good movie, it has black folks in it and everything else. And I was like, I really don't care about watching Black Panther because let me just pull a picture so I can make you guys understand exactly what I'm trying to say here. Let me pull a picture up. So here's the picture I want to pull up. All right. This is a picture of Pope Francis. All right. Playing. Sorry, not if I say playing. Praying to the image of Our Lady of Setoskoshwa. As you can see, this image right here is a black image, right? Pope Francis is praying to it. Now, in the privacy of the rooms of these popes, let me pull up another picture. All right? In the privacy of their rooms, they worship a black image, a black painting, because the popes do know for a fact, all right, that the world is black, as they call it today. The image of humanity is black with woolly hair. They worship this in private. But at the same time, because these are the people who are responsible for albino supremacy that's running our world today, are castigating and denigrating the very people that they worship their images in private. Now, let me just read something from that article so you can clearly understand what's going on here. It says, Pope Francis prays before an image of Our Lady of Setoskwa at the Shrine of Setoskwa on July 18, 2016. You could pause the video at any point in time and copy out this link and go read upon it upon yourself. It says here, Setoskwa, Poland. 300 years ago, this September, the image of Our Lady of Setoskoshwa was crowned Queen and Protector of Poland by Pope Clement XI. So, what does this mean? Like we've talked about this before in a video in which we go into full details in a book. So if you get the book, you're getting something very, very valuable in which we explain that the Europe today, that the so-called albino people who are in Europe today are not native to Europe. It was black woolly-haired people which were native to Europe. And when these guys came in like Pope Francis right here, they were still worshipping these people. But they do that in private. On the outside, they are killing and taking out black people every way they can. Why is that? Because it's the devil that's running this thing. So now to connect the story in which I'm talking about Black Panther is this. There is no way, because the devil runs albino supremacy, there is no way the devil is gonna put, you know, the image of black people in the public to very good use. Because the image of black people Black woolly-haired people represents the image of God, a resemblance of God. And since the devil runs this world and hates God, he's never ever going to represent woolly-haired people correctly. That's just truth. So for a lot of people watching Black Panther, we are going to wait. If the channel is still around till then, when the DVD comes out on Black Panther, we're going to break down the movie Black Panther for you so you can understand that what you're watching is not what you thought you were. And let me just give you a few tips on the movie Black Panther. There was this guy in Black Panther who saved the day. He's the main character. People actually think that the main character of Black Panther is the guy with the mask, the Black Panther himself. But he's not. He's not the guy, I think his name is Boseman or so. That's not the dude. The main character of Black Panther is the guy, sorry to say, called M'Baku. Now, if you watch the movie Black Panther, you would notice that M'Baku was in a snowy area. Now, people, I want you to answer this question. Where does it snow in Africa like that? It doesn't. There are small, maybe bits and pieces of snow on like very high mountains, but besides that, there is nowhere in Africa that it snows like you guys saw it in Black Panther, like it snows in like Europe or North America. There's nowhere in Africa that happens. Then the next question you need to ask, M'Baku saved the day. What was M'Baku dressing like? He was dressed in fur. Who are the people who are always dressed in fur and always in the snow? Answer that question. Then you will know that you were not watching a movie that you thought you were. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's so much going on in the movie Black Panther is actually a very disrespectful movie to humanity. That's just the truth about it in Black Panther. If you're watching it just for the entertainment purposes of it, go ahead. Go ahead and watch it. But if you're watching it with your eyes open, all right? Because every movie that's made in this world is made by these guys right here. The albino Vatican. Albino supremacy, like Pope Francis right here. It's run by the devil. And when it concerns black folk, it's totally a different story. So I think we're going to start a series in which we start dissecting movies to make you understand what you're watching that you did not know. Because every movie has a language. It has a language to the oppressor and the oppressed. It's talking a specific language that you do not get. But your mentality, your mind gets that message. But you may not know it. That's the one thing we don't know. That images are telling us stories. Let me just give you a typical example. Images don't need to say out the words. It's the stories they tell. So for example, someone wears a costume in a movie, all right? It means something. It's not just wearing it. Some sort of shoes, the lighting, the scene, it all means something. For example, in the movie Black Panther, the nation that Black Panther comes from is called Wakanda. But there is no such country as Wakanda in Africa. When albino supremacy want to make a movie about themselves, they don't go by fictitious names. They tell you the country. It's the United States. It's Europe. It's China. It's somewhere in Asia. But when it came to pinpointing, all right, where life began, they call it Wakanda. It's a diss. Because Wakanda doesn't exist. So what are they trying to tell you? You don't exist. But that's a subject for another day. We'll talk about it later on when the movie Black Panther comes out in DVD, because we want to break it down frame by frame so you can understand it. And we'll start a series in which we start breaking down movies for you to understand what you're watching. We break a couple of movies down in the book and explain what you were watching that you didn't actually know what they were trying to tell you. So when you get the book, you'll get that explanation. But for now, you have to wait until we start that particular series. So let's get back onto the subject of Walt Disney. So if you have the time, you can always go read the Walt Disney page here and see how Walt Disney is into every facet of child development today, because every guy knows Walt Disney. I mean, Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney brought us Mickey Mouse. A lot of people grew up on Mickey Mouse, and to find out that Walt Disney is not actually the person that he claimed, it's gut-wrenching. But let's move on and finish this investigation on Walt Disney. So before we get into taking a good look at Walt Disney, I just made this little markings on a picture because I just wanted to share something with you guys, so to help you in your investigations. All right. So now, who you're looking at right now is Edward Norton, and Edward Norton is with a woman. So I was explaining this on email to somebody, and I just thought maybe I should just share this with you guys so it can make your investigations a lot more easier. So what I'm trying to talk about here is the fact that when you draw the shoulders where the torso of the body starts, because the torso of the body starts at the shoulders right here, okay? And you draw the waist for a man, and you draw the location for the hips of a man. If you divide the body up, all right, into these parts, like I'm drawing right here, a man's waist and his hips will make 1/4 of the total length of the body. So I just want you guys to remember that, because this is gonna make your investigation a lot much more easier. So you can spot this. So with a man, when you divide where the waist of a man starts to his hips, is gonna make up for like 1/4 the length of the torso of the body, because the hips ends the torso of the body and the shoulders start it. Okay, so when you find a man's waist and his hips, that length right there from the waist to the hip is going to make up 1/4 the length of the total length of the torso of the body. For females, when you draw a line at where the female waist is at to the hip, the location from the waist to the hip is going to make up for 1/2 the torso of the body. So if you can locate the shoulders and can conveniently locate where the waist is at on a woman and where the hip is at, it's going to make for 1/2 the torso length of the body. Why is that the case? Is because everything, the body of a woman needs to be able to accommodate space for a baby. All right. So where the hips start, or where the pelvis starts, it's way higher up. So all this is just space for a baby to stay right in there. So all this from here is where a baby stays. So that's why the waist location and the hip location make up for 1/2 the length of the torso of the body, and while a man's own makes up 1/4. Let me show you some other pictures about this as well. Here is another picture. Hold on a second. So here is another picture. It's still the same picture of Edward Norton with his girlfriend or wife. I don't know who she is. So that is where the female waist is at right there, and that is where her hips at. So when you draw, the length from the waist to the hip is gonna make 1/2 of the body. So that's where the shoulders at. So the length from the waist to the hip makes up 1/2 for a female. The length for a waist to the hip of a man makes up for just 1/4 the length of the torso of the body. Here is another picture again. Oh, I think I missed it. Let me go back again. I think I missed one. Here's the one. Did I miss that one? Is it the same one? Nope. Hold on. Okay, here's the first one. Here's the first one I wanted to show you. So here is the location of, Edward Norton's shoulders, which starts the torso of the body, and here is where his waist is at, okay, and here's where his hips is at. As you can see, this is all 1/4 of the total length of the torso of the body. And here is a woman right here. Here's the location of her waist, and here's the location of her hips, and the length from the waist to the hip make up for 1/2 the torso length of the body. So if you're trying to make a transvestigation, this should be really easy for you. So when you can find the waist and the hip, then you'll notice that if the person is a transgender female, is going to make up for 1/2 the torso of the body. If the person is male and you can find the location for the waist and the hip, it's going to make up for 1/4. So this should help your transvestigation a lot much more easier. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Okay, listen, let's move on to Walt Disney. And here is Walt Disney. His picture is not very clear, but as you can see right here, Walt Disney is sitting like a woman. Oh, what's wrong with this picture? Right there. See that? The way he sits like a woman. It's not a very clear picture, but don't worry. Just bear with us, and we're going to get to the end of the story. Here is Walt Disney again with Mickey Mouse. And as you can see, Walt Disney has an arch in his back, even through them clothes. So Walt Disney has been masquerading around a stooge of the Vatican because we believe at this point that Walt Disney had nothing to do with the Vatican. Nothing to do with Disney. This Disney World and Disney that we come to know. He was just the face that the Vatican, was hiding behind to bring in all these crazy movies which are teaching your children some. I don't know how to tell you. The animation and the movies that your children watch is totally not training your children in the right way. The only training that you can give your kids is what you tell them. So you have to be responsible for training your kids, because if you allow your kids to be trained by the movies that they watch, because like I'm saying, the pictures that you watch talk a lot of stuff that you do not understand. And let me just give you an example. Say, for example, you wanted food, okay? And you walked into a place that you did not know the language that they spoke. How would you know that this restaurant sells food? You would take a look at the pictures, at maybe the neosigns. And the neosigns would have maybe like a ball and a plate, all right? And maybe something coming out of it like steam, and you would know that's food. In the same way, that's how pictures interact with you on a daily basis until you start forming opinions without not knowing. So let me give you a typical example, all right, of how pictures tell you stories without you actually knowing that you're being told a story. Let's say, for example, okay, in every movie that you watch, all right, you see a black person portrayed as a thief, or a black person portrayed in a negative way. And the black person has never told you that he's a thief. No black person has ever told you that. And it comes to you naturally when you see a black person, your memory goes down to the movie that you watch, that the person was portrayed as a thief and he was black. So that's how it's going to seep into your consciousness that black people are thieves. In the same way, all right, if you saw an albino person, all right, being portrayed as a liar in every movie, very sneaky liar, all right, all the time, he's always telling a lie. In your consciousness, once you see an albino person without anybody telling you, you just automatically say the person is a liar. That's how pictures, okay, tell you stories without actually saying the words. So if you leave your children to be trained by Disney, the pictures that your child is looking at is going to be speaking something different, even though the characters are not going to be saying anything, but the pictures are going to be telling your children what to say, how to act, and what to do. So you have to be aware of that. So here's Walt Disney right here having an arch in his back, as you can see right here, because Walt Disney was not a man in any way, shape, or form. Walt Disney is a female, a full-blooded one, masquerading around as a man, a stooge of the Vatican. Another picture of Walt Disney, as you can see right here, Walt Disney has a Q angle below the crotch. He starts spreading from underneath his elbows. As you can see, it's getting wider and wider right here. Let me try to blow this picture up so you guys can see it much more clearly. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words today. Clearly, okay? You can see right here, Walt Disney starts spreading from underneath his elbows, if you're following my mouse right here, and gets wider and wider and wider. And his Q angle is right here, which is below the crotch. Walt Disney is 100% female. When you look at that face right now, as you're looking at, you start seeing the femininity start oozing out. This is a woman, was never a man. Okay, let's go to the next picture. Walt Disney again, arch in the back and hips. Look at that. Look at this huge, humongous hips that would make any female envious. How can a man have this kind of hips and she doesn't? Look at that. Arch in the back. It's getting wider and wider and wider and wider, and the Q angle right here is below the crotch because Walt Disney was never a man. Walt Disney has been lying to you, has been lying to future generations, telling you that they're telling you the truth, that they're painting a better world for your kids when they're indoctrinating them into the system of the New World Order for the devil through albino supremacy. If people do not understand that white supremacy is of the devil, you have no business talking about God. You have no business at all talking about God. White supremacy, albino supremacy is of the devil, is the devil's tool. Now, people might make the mistake of thinking that because we're always talking about, white supremacy and albino supremacy in this movie, that because humanity is black, that means that we are all good. Does that mean exactly that? Of course not. Because you have to understand that humanity is wicked. It doesn't matter if it's black, white, yellow, or blue. In the first place, black people gave birth to the albinos that we see today. So that means if the children who are running the world can be this wicked, then you can understand that the parents, their black woolly-haired ancestors, were on a different level. Because only evil can beget evil. It's not a coincidence. So don't get it twisted that because humanity is black that we're good. No, it's not true. Look at what they gave birth to. All right. So let's move forward on Walt Disney. Here's another picture of Walt Disney, but you guys wouldn't see that. But this is below the crotch. Below, the Q angle is below the crotch. This picture was cropped so we wouldn't see it, but this Q angle right here tells you that it's below the crotch because Walt Disney is 100% female. All right, stick with me. Don't go anywhere. Look at Walt Disney again. Is that the right place for a man to place his hands on his hips? Is that where his hip is at? Looking at Walt Disney, where do you think the navel of this so-called person is? The navel is right around here. And his hands are above the navel on the female waist. Because Walt Disney, smiling at you and lying to you with Mickey Mouse behind, is telling you the most incredible lie of all time, that he was male. He was not. He was masquerading around as one. Walt Disney, 100% female. Because remember what I told you. When you draw the line at the female waist, where this hand is right here, and where the hip is at, it splits the body in half. Right there. I just showed you that. Okay, let's move on. Look at Walt Disney again. Arch in the back. Arch in the back. 100% female. Was never a man. He lied to you that he was one. Look at that. Arch in the back. 100% female. Walt Disney. All right. Some more pictures of Walt Disney. Look at the curve on this man. Goodness gracious. This would make any woman envious. Look at that. Remember what I told you and what you see every time. A female starts spreading from underneath her elbows. And what do you see to Walt Disney right here? Huge, humongous hips. And the Q angle is below the crotch. Acute Q angle below the crotch. Because Walt Disney was a woman. 100% female. Was never a man. Masquerading around as one. Okay, let's go. Another picture. Take a good look at that picture again before I pull it over. Look at that. Curvy, 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 curvy. Whew. Goodness gracious. This woman has been telling us some crazy, salacious lies. All right. Walt Disney again. Is that the walk of a man? No. Leaning the foot, leaning the weight into the foot that's in front of it, because Walt Disney is 100% female, was never a man in the first place. All right, let's go another picture. Walt Disney again. Look at the curves. Look at this curve right here. Is that a woman? So this goes to show you that this idea of transgendering people is not just something that just started in the 20th century. It's been going on since the dawn of time. And we explain that fully well in the book that we're going to be sending out emails soon. So if you already sent us an email, we'll be responding to that email soon with the cost of the book and the price of shipping. So if you haven't done it before, if you haven't sent us an email already, you have just 2 weeks to get the first batch of the copies that are coming out of print. So after that, you might have to wait a little bit longer. We don't know if we'll have enough copies. But for now, anybody who wants to order, you can order as many copies as you want. It's no big deal. All right. So let's move forward. Walt Disney. Look at that. Curves like a woman. All right. Walt Disney again. Arch in the back, as you can see right here. You can tell that's the female pelvic tilt right there. All right. Even though he's wearing a suit, or she's wearing a suit, let's call it right. Wearing a suit. But look at that face now. If you didn't see it before, take a look at the face. It's starting to show you that it's all a woman. Look at that. Look at that. All right, another picture of Walt Disney. Look at this. Arch in the back. Arch in the back. Oh my goodness gracious. The pelvis is tilted forward because Walt Disney is a woman with Mickey Mouse and deceiving us, because he's a stooge. He's the face for the Vatican to make you accept Disney into your house, into your home. So you wouldn't know that the Vatican is the one behind him right here, behind her right here, pulling the strings and controlling the minds of your kids and teaching them how to be indoctrinated into the new world order, into everything that's not of God but the devil. All right, let's go for another picture. Walt Disney, same hand position. Same hand position. The position for a female waist, because Walt Disney is 100% female. And relax, we have saved the best picture for last. All right, Walt Disney sitting right here. You can still see the curves right here. This is a woman sitting. Look at how long, because you have to understand. We already showed you that from the waist of a female down to her hips is longer. So this makes a woman's butt to be much more longer. A man's butt, starts so quickly and ends so quickly. A female butt starts higher up and continues longer all the way down to the hips, which is below the crotch. That's where it ends. And that's why Walt Disney, when sitting, has so much curvature for a bum, because it's the longer butt of a female sitting. It's not a man sitting. All right, let's go. Walt Disney again, as you can see, hand position for the female waist. The same, look at this female right here. All right, that's her waist. It's the same position. It's just that Walt Disney is taller. But you can see that that location for that resting point is not the location for a man's waist. Relax. We have one more picture, and this is it. I want you guys to marinate on this for a minute. Marinate on that for a minute. Is that a man standing? This is the hip of a woman. See how wide. See how wide this is from the body. Just take a good look at that. Leave it for a minute. Let it sink a little bit. Take a good look at that. Is that a man? Look at how wide the hips are spreading. Look at the Q angle in the way this man is cocking his hips. And you tell me this is a man. Take a good look how he's spreading from underneath the elbows. This is the elbows right here. And he gets wider and wider and wider. And the widest point right here is below the crotch. But because he's cocking his hips or cocking her hips, you can't really see that. Look at that. This is 100% female. Was never a man in the first place. Here's Walt Disney again walking with the so-called wife, and this is probably one of the highest degrees in Freemasonry or Jesuits that's controlling her right here, because you can see that this Q angle right here is the Q angle of a female and not the Q angle of a man, because Walt Disney is 100% female. All right. Look at that again. Look at that hand rest position. Now tell me, look at how huge and humongous this pelvis is right here with when he puts his hand on his waist. That's not the location of a male waist. Look at how huge this is. Look at how long this butt continues on downwards and down and terminates right around here, because this is the butt of a female, and Walt Disney is 100% one. I'm not going to talk about this over there, that pyramid sign that they think that we can't see in the picture because it's all blurry. I don't want to go into all that conspiracy because we know what the pyramids are all about. But here we are with Walt Disney right here showing you that he was 100% female, was never a man. Let me take you back to this picture so you can marinate on it for a minute while I end the video. So, with this said, remember all our videos are free for you to download. Download the videos. Spread the truth. Let other people know so they can wake up from this reality and so that they can begin to think for themselves and program themselves rightly, correctly. Because all what the Vatican is programming us to go to hell with them. That's the sad reality, and that's the truth. So if you want to be ignorant, stay ignorant. Do not bother us. If you think that we are ignorant, allow us to be ignorant. After all, nobody's killing you for you being ignorant. So why are you bothering about us? Let us be ignorant. Okay? So, like I said before, if you're interested in the book, you still have 2 weeks to get the new batch that's coming out from print, and after 2 weeks you're gonna have to wait a little while longer. You might order it and it might take you a little bit longer to get it, but if you want to get your hands on the first copies that are coming out of print, you still have 2 weeks to do that. You can send us an email. Email is the same as the channel name at gmail.com. Just send us an email with the title book. All right. And also, please subscribe to the second channel, Tricks of the Ashtray 2, in case the Vatican shuts us down on this one. And so we can have somewhere to talk to you guys before our website is ready to go. So with that, we've come to the end of today's video. I hope you guys learned something. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the second channel, Tricks of the Ashtray 2. Study. Keep your eyes open. And as well, we leave you with these words. Look with your eyes, but see with your brain. Thanks, and I'll talk with you guys later.